We're live, Vince.
All right.
Can you see me? Vince.
Why are you so close to the camera? What are you doing?
Listen!
Yes, exactly.
Listen!
Are you ready to start, or are you waiting for somebody to...
Deborah Battle is watching us even as we speak.
Hey, Deborah.
She said,
So you ready?
Freedom is coming tomorrow.
That's what I hear.
That's the word on the street.
That's the word on...
We are ready to rock and roll, Vince. Go ahead.
All right. Welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And on this latest stop on the mission, we are going to spend some...
You took a really deep pause there, Vince.
Did I?
I don't know. It seemed very, It seemed very deep. It seemed very deep. It was like a deep...
And on this latest stop of the mission, we'll be spending time with 1992's South African musical drama Sarafina, based on Mbugeni's Nagima's 1987 musical of the same name. But before we get to that and find out if freedom is indeed coming tomorrow, Mr. Webb, we have some business to attend to.
We do have business to attend to, Vince. Thank you very much. We are streaming live as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. We are video streaming on Facebook in the Micheaux Mission Facebook group, as well as on YouTube on the Micheaux Mission channel. So if you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering what these two old fogies look like, subscribe to us on YouTube. Join the Facebook group, and then you can see exactly what two black graybeards look like when they are talking about movies.
There you go. Who doesn't want to see that?
Who doesn't? We have gotten a couple more podcast reviews, Vince.
Oh,
Indeed. On Apple Podcast, we heard from Hector.
Hey, Hector. So nice he named himself twice.
5 stars.
Thank you,
Love what
Hector.
you guys are undertaking. Big fan of the host rapport, sometimes left field observations, and commitment to the premise of the show.
Let the record show the left field is actually on the field, though.
It is. It's sometimes out there by the bleachers, but we're still on the field.
But it is in play.
Exactly. It's within the foul lines.
That's right.
He continues, I always leave an episode with much insight and tons of surprises. Thanks for all your work on something that is not covered in much of cinema discussion, let alone in the pod world. Well, you're very welcome, Hector.
Thank you, sir.
We also heard from Arcona, 5 stars.
Hi, Arcona. Thank you.
This is an excellent movie discussion podcast. I especially appreciate that their opinions on films will sometimes surprise you. Example, I did not expect them to love Django Unchained, and yet my expectations were shattered by their honest and passionate examination of the film's themes and its relationship to the Black community. This is really good stuff, folks, and you should be listening.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. And we heard just today, Vince, from
Hot off the presses
on Tyler Perry.
Uh-oh. Rod.
You guys give Tyler a lot of grief. You categorized Tyler as disliking women, but yes. I feel he exhibits self-loathing instead. Every wealthy man in his film are evil and abusive individuals, except one, Tyler when playing Mr. Deeds. Completely unbelievable. If we are to believe Tyler, the only good men are the working poor, whom black women should just be happy with. But
Yes.
who is Tyler? A multi-millionaire who represents the quote-unquote wealthy protagonist in his movies, even using his own home in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Keep up the thoughtful analysis. Isaiah Taylor.
Oh, thank you, Isaiah. I don't know. I don't think Tyler Perry thinks of himself as one of our overlords. I think Tyler Perry really sees himself as one of the people, regardless of how much money he gets. But that is that you know, I think the great thing about Tyler Perry at this point is that everyone has their own reading of Tyler Perry.
Right. Isaiah apparently has fallen in love with the show because
okay.
She also left us an email.
Okay, excellent. Hey, Isaiah, good to hear from you again.
Hey, fellow Terp / Baltimore resident.
Oh!
And Len.
That's you.
I feel...
And Peggy.
Exactly. Nice Hamilton drop there.
You like that, right?
Yes. I'm the Peggy of the Micheaux mission, ladies and gentlemen.
You're Peggy. I get to be Angelica and Eliza.
I don't think I'm going to read us the rest of her email. Anyway, she continues. Just found your podcast 3 weeks ago. Absolutely love it. I listen at 1.5 speeds to get more shows in. Finally caught up with you and wanted to suggest a selection from Iceberg Slim, Trick Baby, Mama Black Widow, or Iceberg Slim, Portrait of a Pimp. Keep up the great work.
Are those movies?
I don't. Who knows? I certainly don't believe they were feature films, but they could have been.
Right.
He could have done some type of movie adaptation of it. We'll have to check them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also heard an email from Monique Granby. Long time no hear from. What's up, Monique?
Hey, what's up, Monique?
I am so behind on your podcast. I'm working on 2 scripts. Unlike the idiot, I want my Applebee's. Sorry, not wearing a mask causes freedom, etc. I'm keeping my behind in the house. I
know that's right.
I've gotten behind in listening, but I still ride hard for you guys. Just wanted to check in. Given the moment, gave you guys a shout out on my social media. Figured while our new allies are seeking understanding, wanted you to be included in that education. Film is a mirror of our society on so many levels. For those who may not be drawn to a book, film can fill that void of understanding. I feel your in-depth perspectives on Black film, even Acrimony, sorry, it's a Pad Love thing of that film, but I truly believe you guys are integral to the understanding of Black culture via film, especially as we embark on this new normal. Much love and blessings to you and your families, Mo. Thank you.
Hey, Monique, thank you. Good to hear from you, too. Keep doing the work, Mo. Work on them scripts.
Yes, please do. Please do. Speaking of scripts, Vince, dipping into our Facebook group, did you know, or did you hear, or see, however you want to take it, that have you heard of the Plague Nerderlogs? Vince?
I had not until recently.
Now the Plague,
because
I had heard of them. I don't know how many of you, ladies and gentlemen, have heard of the Plague Nerdalogs. And what these are during this weird time when we're all in the house, social distancing from one another's. The Plague Nerdalogs, which began back in May of 2020, is a way for your favorite actors from genre television and cartoons and things like that to keep their muscles and fine tune. They have been doing videos of them reading some of their scripts from some of the movies that they've been favorite movies they've been in, or even getting together to do like original scenes from your favorite cartoons and things like that. There have been Yetide Badaki, who is known from American Gods. She did a reading of Morpheus from The Matrix. You had
nice,
very nice, right? You had David Blue did the Joker from Dark Knight. Yvette Nicole Brown portrayed Lady Olenna from A Game of Thrones. Oh man, there's so many. And recently, friend of the show, longtime friend of the show, Ryan Sands.
Ryan.
Yeah. There is Ryan Sands read Jefferson Davis from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Academy Award-winning feature animated film.
Nice.
So he's reading,
nice,
and I believe in the film that role was read by, what's that, Mahershala Ali?
No. Mahershala Ali played his uncle.
Oh, that's right.
Brian, I just forgot his last name. My man from Atlanta.
Oh, Robert Tyree Henry.
Right. Brian.
Brian Tyree Henry. Yeah.
Tyree Henry. Yeah. He played his dad. Yeah, he played his dad. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Ryan Sands has done a Plague Nerdalog where he is doing the voice of Jefferson Davis from scenes in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So you can check it out on
Very
YouTube.
nice.
Check it out on YouTube. Go to Plague Nerdalogs. That's really dope, and it's good to see. I'll be interested. I haven't checked it out yet. I've got to check it. I've got to check it out. Brian Tyree Henry definitely has a very distinct voice. I love almost everything that he does. But Ryan, last seen on the Runaways on not Netflix, on Hulu. Right, and I'll be interested to see him voicing that character. I'd be interested to see him doing some voice work. He's got himself.
Yeah, and I know he got a kick out of it because he's a big old nerd like us.
He's a big yes. That's why we enjoyed hanging out with him. He's a
huge Good job. It's a good look.
Definitely. We're going to be reviewing Sarafina today, ladies and gentlemen. But unless you've been living under a rock, there's actually been another film that dropped this weekend, this past Friday on Disney Plus. Yeah. They featured the feature film debut of Hamilton, the stage musical that rocked the nation when it hit the Broadway stage, I believe in 2015 or 2016? I think
something like that. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah,
a winner of numerous Tony Awards. Well, that original cast has a filmed presentation of the stage play that dropped on Disney Plus this Friday, and it has been on everybody's lips all weekend long. Now, Vince, you are someone who has seen the stage production. You didn't see it with the original cast, though.
Right. I've never seen the original cast, but I've seen 2 productions of it.
Right, and you're a devotee of the cast album.
Well, it's a version of Jules in Pulp Fiction where he says his girl is a vegetarian, which kind of makes him a vegetarian.
Right.
Like my 2 favorite girls, like my daughter and my wife, are huge Hamilton people. Mm-hmm. So, like, everybody in the house is a Hamilton person now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's pretty much how it works. So did you watch the film this weekend?
I did, but more importantly, did you watch the film this weekend?
I did. I did.
I mean, you're the Hamilton virgin.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
So,
And I did sit down. I watched the film. Um, I'm not a big musical person, even
I
though
know, which is why, yeah.
every time I say that, I then rattle off about good 5 musicals that I like. But I sat down to watch this, and I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time. I could see what all the hype was about this, about the play. I could see the energy, the choreography, the dancing, the staging, and to think that all of those and it's a true musical. Like there are all, I don't think there's any spoken line of dialogue in this movie. Everything is in verse, right?
Right,
And
right,
specifically, almost all in hip hop verse. So
right. Yeah.
it was just it was an amazing accomplishment, and it was an amazing performance, and I enjoyed it. Like most musicals, especially when you see them on the stage, little long,
Oh
little,
yeah, it's long,
yeah,
but
you
it
can,
flows.
but it flew. It does
Yeah,
flow.
yeah.
It
You look
does,
up, and you're like, oh my goodness, 2 hours have gone by.
right. And now I'm in for a penny in
Yeah,
for a pound. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. There were some parts of it that rubbed me the wrong way, and I purposely didn't really like, even when the play hit. I just heard all the accolades, but I never read any reviews about it, right?
Right,
Because in my mind, I'm going to go see it one day, and I just never got around to seeing it. And then
right,
when I heard about the movie, I didn't want to read any reviews. I just want to take it in. So I took it in, and now having taken it in, I now have license to go back and read some reviews of the stage play and now even some reviews of the film, right? And
right.
there were some things that people bumped up against that I bumped up against as well, right? There was
Okay,
some,
such as.
and well, I think the biggest thing, two things, two things. Lin Manuel Miranda is not the strongest singer
Right,
by far
right, right.
in this performance
You can definitely
on the
tell
show.
he's the one that wrote it.
You can definitely tell he's the one that wrote it, and considering that he is the one that wrote it, it is an amazing feat because I
Right.
think it is fantastic writing.
No, no, no. I mean, you can tell he wasn't cast because of his talent.
Oh, right, right. Well, okay, yeah, because I don't, because he's not the strongest singer, he's not the
Right,
strongest dancer,
right,
and he probably is not the strongest actor either,
right.
right?
And he's a nice MC if Daveed Diggs isn't on stage with him.
Okay, but I think that's necessarily true about all of them. All right.
Right,
I
right,
mean, I don't think none of them, rhyming wise, is going to touch Diggs
right,
on the microphone, which is why he's the only one that actually drops the mic in the show.
right.
But he gets over a line. He gets over a line.
Sure, sure, sure.
My big thing though is that because he's not the strongest performer, especially his singing, and especially in the second half of the performance, which I think is more emotionally gripping because I think the lens narrows more into his life as opposed to the first half, which is a little bit more broad because it's about the revolution.
Right,
Um, as that focus narrows in on him and he's asked to do more acting wise as well as emotionally in his singing, I think that is to slight detriment to the performance because he is not as strong a singer. And now you're asking him, tired from the first half, to now
right.
be able to bring even more emotion into now this second half. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I think at times in the second half he's a bit of a letdown. Don't get me wrong. I think he's still doing good work, but I just think he is the weak link of the
Yeah.
performance.
He's just surrounded by people who
He's
are
just surrounded by such amazing
right
people, man.
yeah
But then the other thing that I bumped on, and it made me wonder how accurate this is, because they've got to massage the stuff for
absolutely
the writing and for the story of it, is that the women's role in this world, and thus in this performance, is very, I found lacking, and where it doesn't lack, I found it troubling, because where the women are given more to do, it is almost always in commentary to their feelings about a man,
sure
whether it be about and mostly about Alexander Hamilton.
right of course.
And I found that a little. I bumped on that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it made me wonder. Okay, how accurate is it that Eliza is into Alexander Hamilton, but Angelica was into Alexander Hamilton from afar, especially when, just based on the script of the play, all of her feelings about Alexander seem to be left unsaid. It's not like there's any moment where she emotes this to him, so we're led to believe that they actually had a conversation about it. So it's all in her head. So that made me wonder, okay, is that really just a creation for the stage, for the story, or is that something that he actually pulled from the history books? And I know that this book is kind of like based on a book. It's not really
based on the biography that I forgot the guy's name who wrote it, but yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know whether. So I don't know whether or not it was pulled from there. And forgive me, I didn't go and do the research so much on that. But just the fact that was there, it really bumped against me. And I saw that was something that a lot of people had a problem with. It stuck out to a lot of people.
Sure. I mean, in your defense, you've been in Hamilton World now for what, 2 days?
Not even. Well, yeah,
not
2 days.
Even,
yeah, because I saw it
not
Sunday,
even 2 days. Yeah, and as you know, once people get in, it, like you said, in for a penny, in for a pound. People turn into these Hamilton scholars all of a sudden.
Well, that's
where
true.
They read the stuff. The direction I thought you were going to go when you start talking about the story and the history, and this is something that I've been fascinated by over the past few days, including a conversation that the missionaries have been having, is how the story, and I'll use your word, massages history.
Right.
And kind of bends history, and what does it mean to have this play, especially in 2020, when we're talking about statues, when we're talking about the names on buildings, when we're talking about the founding fathers, if you will. We have this play that in a lot of way glamorizes some people who are, kind of reprehensible, and including Alexander Hamilton. Just one.
That's true.
Just one detail. The play would have you think that he was a bit of an abolitionist, because he's this kind of scrappy immigrant, and he's for the little guy, but he gets problematized pretty quickly when you realize that part of the reason that Philip Schuyler was a millionaire was because he was a slave trader.
Oh yeah.
And we don't touch on that at all, and it is kind of weird watching it. And like, I actually don't have a problem with the Thomas Jefferson depiction, because I do think Daveed Diggs gets across that Thomas Jefferson is a little venal and a bit, but Chris Jackson's George Washington is like this epic figure.
That's true.
who and I will say this about the phenomenon, and I joked a moment ago with you about, well, you've been in Hamilton world for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think the further you get into it, I think almost from the beginning, you go back to 2016, 2017, you look at interviews with the cast, you look at interviews with Lin-Manuel Miranda, they've been very forthright about that tension.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and about what this means to have these black and brown actors inhabit these roles.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly Chris Jackson, I've read several interviews with him where he talks about being George Washington and how he brings this dignity and this beauty to this man who is, if you're black, George Washington is again problematic at best. But I think the sheer artistry of it can't be denied. I think we can argue whether or not, as you and I have argued about many projects, whether or not this talent could have been utilized in another project.
Mm-hmm.
But the talent is undeniable.
Yeah.
Is undeniable. So I'm glad you saw it.
I am too. I will tell you that having watched it, Deborah Battle hit us up on YouTube, and she says that Hamilton and Angelica only flirted with each other, only in the letters. Not many would have looked up the history if not for the play. That is very true. That's very true. And Aaron Fry asks, so you're calling Lin-Manuel Tyler Perry?
I'm not. That is terrible, Aaron. Terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
We're not going that far.
Go stand in a corner and think about what you've done.
I like that you shouted out Chris Jackson as George Washington, because I thought he was outstanding. And as someone who, having not watched Hamilton, right, my introduction to Leslie Odom Jr. was in the wake of Hamilton. Mm-hmm. He did a I think it was a Nationwide commercial where he's singing Nationwide.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's a beautiful voice. I can see why people are falling in love with Hamilton. So now, and the thing is, I had heard the cast album, but I never knew which role he played, so I never knew which voice was his. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So now, having seen it, that dude is no joke.
Oh, Leslie Odom, homeboy. You know he's a Philly dude.
I know.
Yeah, Philly dude. Philly dude.
He is no joke, man.
Leslie Odom is a beast. Room Where It Happens and One Last Time are my two joints. Well, that and Gun and Ship.
People were. I saw like a little thing. People were talking about rating their favorite Hamilton song. There's actually a podcast. Yeah. We Got This. They just did an episode where talking about they're arguing what is the best Hamilton song. And the Room When It Happens is definitely one that everybody goes away, you're just singing it and humming it and everything like that. But when he sings "Wait for It,"
man.
That is no joke. There's no joke. But you know what? I want to show some love, and I don't know how much love this person is giving, so I'm going to show her some love because it's the first time for me. Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Come on, man. You must not listen to our episodes. I've been talking about Renee Elise Goose. Come on, man. Come on. Stop. You are not going to Columbus Renee Elise Goldsberry on this show. You are not going to Columbus that sister. I'm about to go get a statue of Lynn Webb and throw it in the harbor.
Now, wait a minute, Vince. Now, mind you, we have given her props on this show before. Because
I have given her props. Me.
Wait a minute. I gave her props too.
right, for Altered Carbon.
For
But
Arthur Carbon.
I'm saying, yeah, from from the Get Down to Altered Carbon to don't. Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Tell me about her, Lynn. Tell me about this exciting.
Let me school you, Vince. Renee Elise
Tell me about.
Goldsberry.
Oh really? Tell me. Is she? She
she
play Lynn.
she is the find of the century, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
She
She's
as
about to.
Angelica.
Oh, she plays in. Is that? Oh, tell me more, Lynn. Educate me.
She plays Angelica in this.
Uh huh. Does she? Look at you sailing the ocean blue.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Who you gonna tell me about next, Lynn? Now you know who got talent. You ever heard of this woman named Anika Noni Rose? Anika Noni Rose, that's somebody for you.
I don't know if you heard, Vince. I don't know if you heard, Vince. But Renee Elise Goldsberry is in Hamilton. She plays Angelica.
Is she?
She is I mean, I loved her on Altered Carbon, and I heard like, oh, she was in Hamilton. Oh, cool. Yo, she is amazing, dog. Like,
is she?
Every time, I swear to you, every single time she sang a note, I felt a fluster in my cheeks, man. She is amazing. I haven't felt like that watching someone sing on stage. Oh my God! It's since like I can't even think of when, man. She just left me just left me numb, man. She was incredible. She was incredible.
You know how much of a beast she is. This is how much of a beast she is. So you know her big song is of course Satisfied.
Yes.
Which is, you know, where she's telling her part of meeting Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
And she sings it, but then she also has she raps.
Kills it.
The Hamilton mixtape is kind of covers of the Hamilton song.
Mm-hmm.
They had to get two different people to do her song.
Really?
So Miguel sang her part, and then Queen Latifah rapped her part. Because they had to find two people to do her part. They needed
two people to match the talent of one Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Yes.
And one of those...
She's quite the talent. Thank you for...
One of those people is
Thank you
maybe...
for telling me about it.
One of those people is maybe the greatest female rapper of all time, and yet they needed to get her just to approximate the rapping performance of one Renee Elise Goldsberry. Deborah Battle says that she's been a fan of Renee since she was on One Life to Live and Ally McBeal as a background singer. Viv says Goldsberry is in Altered Carbon season 1 or 2. So y'all can check that out, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Get up on y'all Renee Elise Goldsberry. You know? And tell them that Len sent you.
Yes. She also played the Donna Summer type character in the Get Down.
Oh, and she was in the Get Down too. Yes.
And she was in this great episode of Documentary Now, which is the documentary spoof series off of IFC. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm glad you brought it to our attention, Lynn. Glad you brought it to our attention. You ever see Jasmine Guy on this show called A Different World? I learned so much doing this show with you.
I am an educator. So next. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into our main review, I told you last week about a film from 1959 that is streaming on Turner Classic Movies right now. It is
Yes.
called. It is a little film called Black Orpheus. Now, Black Orpheus is a romantic tragedy made in Brazil back in 1959 by French director Marcel Camus and starring Marpisa Dawn and Bruno Mello. And it basically it's set around the time of Carnival in Rio in 1959, and more or less retells the legend of Orpheus. Right. And is it Eurydice? I never knew how to pronounce the woman's name.
I think it's Eurydice.
Eurydice. And their tragic love story, but it's set in Rio.
Right.
And this is a film that is has been chronicled by the Criterion Collection.
That's right. Beautiful print.
Heralded for being for its soundtrack, for its music.
That's right.
And as well as, I think, because it in many ways is a time capsule of Rio in 1959.
Right.
And having
introduced Western. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because you're the scholar on this, as you own the Criterion Collection copy of it.
I was just going to say, introduce Western audiences to bossa nova music.
Yeah, which is
so. But go ahead.
The film. I mean,
yeah.
They advertise it as a musical. It's not so much a musical, but music plays a big part, as it is the very much the drive of this movie. So much so that it only dawned on me as we were nearing the end that there's no score to this film.
Right.
Yet you feel the music because it is always being played in the city streets everywhere you go in this film. And it's a movie that, look, it's a little long. I'm not going to lie. It's a little
sure.
And there are parts of it that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. All of a sudden, this Spider-Man figure shows up in the middle of this movie, bouncing all around. But when you realize that this is an adaptation of a centuries-old tale, or somebody might even say fable, and just lose yourself to the theme of that.
Exactly.
And if you just lose yourself, honestly, to the very earnestness of most of the performers in this film, many of them first-time performers, especially some of the young children that are in this movie, and lose yourself to the cinematography, the music, the energy, the atmosphere, the scenery, it's an experience that I think everyone should take in.
Yeah, I agree. I think experience is the best word for it. I think it is lush. It is vibrant. It is otherworldly. It is a film that I have loved for years. You know, as you said, you talked about it being long. I almost don't even look at it as a film. You know, it's almost just sort of, it's just sort of almost a moving painting even. Because like you said, the plot doesn't make sense. You shouldn't even be paying attention to the plot. And I know we're kind of trained to watch movies.
Yeah.
Give yourself to it. Now, I think what is interesting, or what will be interesting by the end of the episode, as we talk about Sarafina is whether or not this is something to exoticize these other people. Like, we always kind of talk about who is the audience for this, like who is this actually made for. And I do think after doing this for so long, I am always very aware of this sort of white gaze.
Okay.
And is this something that was made that is supposed to be this, you know, because I do think it is lush. I do think it is otherworldly. I do think it is sort of this almost tone poem.
Mm-hmm.
But I do also have to wonder, is that part of my Americanness? Like looking at these foreign brown people doing this foreign stuff,
mm-hmm.
and it's exotic, and they're speaking a funny language and the music. But having said that, I think you kind of have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But once you acknowledge it, you know, I do think that it is this breathtaking film. It really is, and I try and watch Black Orpheus once every year or so, just to kind of give myself to it.
Yeah, I could dig that. I will say, I'll leave it on this note. The last, and I guess it may be 2 minutes of this movie, the last 2 minutes of this movie may be some of the most joyful moments I have ever watched on a film and or experienced watching a movie. The last 2 minutes of this movie just made my heart sing. It made my heart sing.
Yeah.
It was just so joyful, and so poetic. It was like, wow, you know, whatever misgivings I had about the movie, which were very slight, to be fair, would just flew all away right there at the end. Great movie. Give yourself to checking out The Black Orpheus. It's from 1959, ladies and gentlemen, but it is in color for those who are adverse to black and white. It is in color.
Sure.
And the Criterion print that they're streaming on TCM is beautiful. It's beautiful.
That was going to be my question. I wanted to know what print were they showing, because the crisper the print, the greater the experience.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, and it's going to be on there to the 18th. Fantastic. That's a free plug for them. It's on the 18th of this month. So you got a few more days. Go check it out. All right?
Okay. Excellent.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Hamilton, Black Orpheus, you had quite the cultural weekend.
I did.
La di da. Look at Len.
I did have a cultural weekend. And the last thing that I discovered this weekend, Vince, I know you have been one who has poo-pooed my choice of movie snacks, pretzel bites.
Are you about to tell me like you discovered popcorn?
I have discovered something better than popcorn.
Okay, what is it?
I have discovered and I'm going to get it out here right now. I will be sneaking into the movie theaters.
Easy.
Once the screens reopen, I, Len, the Back Trouble, will return to the movie theaters and taking with me Snyder Rounds.
Oh my God.
Snyder Rounds, ladies and gentlemen, which are mini pretzel balls dipped in butter. Oh my God. Vince?
So funny story.
I'm listening.
When me and Wendy first started dating, like one of our first dates, like I went over to her apartment and we were just sort of hanging out, and she said, you know, do you want some snacks? And she brought out a bowl of pretzels.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the driest pretzels. Like they were the dry, and I sat and I ate them dry ass pretzels. And that was like one of the first moments where I said, this might be going somewhere, because there's no way I'd be sitting here eating these pretzels for no reason. Like, like the big Amish pretzels.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if they were Snyder's rounds, Vince, mini pretzel balls dipped in butter.
That might.
Oh, my friend. You might not have married Wendy, and you might have married yourself a bag. Because
I might have run off with the pretzels.
This is maybe my third bag this weekend. And there's easily 1,000 mini balls in every bag, ladies and gentlemen. Look.
All right, that's enough free advertising. That's enough of that. Between Turner Classic Movies and Snyder, you're just giving away money.
They're butterly delicious.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Snyder knows our Cash App if he wants some more. If he wants some more information.
And wash it down with a Nantucket nectar.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they can run an ad on here.
Oh my God. Somewhere our podglomerate overlords are racing to cut out this part of this show.
Exactly. You know what this is?
Okay.
That's Snyder's Pretzels at a store near you. What are you doing?
I should put a Snyder's ad at the start of the show. That was
right. Exactly. They know how to get in touch with our people.
Okay. All right. Let's get into our review. All right, pretzel.
Parched. Look at you all parched.
Because you won't let me drink my drink on camera.
Hey, Len, look, I'm drinking my water, but you'll notice the label is turned around.
Actually, my problem is that my drink is actually across the room. I forgot it.
Well, that's a good point. You're so busy grabbing after pretzels.
I know.
Running to tell me about Angelica.
She's Miss Goldsberry to you. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's get into our review of 1992's Sarafina.
All right.
Now can I go get my drink?
Now you can go get your drink. Now you can go ahead. The people who listen to the podcast will think we're a professionally run operation.
Hi, everybody.
You ready? Ridiculous.
We're doing it live.
Yes. I said the people who listen to the podcast will think there's a professionally run outfit.
But those watching, they know better.
But those watching live, it's like, how in the world did they manage to do over 200 of these things?
I've been
Editing
listening.
is
I've been listening to this shit.
editing is an art form in and of itself. You ever hear Oswald talk about, and I forget her name, but the editor on Empire Strikes Back?
Oh no, I haven't. I haven't.
She's the editor on, but basically his theory is that it's not George Lucas, it's the editing.
I can believe that.
Right. So, but anyway, we're not going to get distracted. That's one of those left field things.
Okay. All right.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Sarafina, a 1992 musical drama film based on Mbangini's Nagima's 1987 musical of the same name. The film is about the lead character, Sarafina, a young black South African struggling for freedom during apartheid. While she has remained relatively silent in her opposition of the racist government in her country, the movement to make the language of Afrikaans the official language in her school leads her to protest in the streets with her fellow students. Her anti-government views become even more intense when her favorite teacher is arrested for protesting. Sarafina from 1992 stars John Kanai, Mbangini Ngima, Miriam Makeba, Whoopi Goldberg, and introducing in her first film role Lelekete Khumalo as the lead character Sarafina. This was the choice of Len Webb. Len, what do you have to say about Sarafina?
Oh, I got a lot to say about Sarafina. This was a 1992 stage production that I remember hearing a great deal about at the time. Well, the film is from 1992. I think the stage production is actually from a few years earlier. But I remember hearing a great deal about this stage production, this story of about these children in South Africa, and being forced to, I think, learn Afrikaan or as a language in their schools. I may be misconstruing the story a little bit. At the end of the day, they're being forced to do what they don't want to do. They're being forced to learn what they do not want to learn pretty much a bastardized version of African history, of their country's history. And I remember people being swept up by this stage performance. But I was probably at a young age where it wasn't, while I heard it, it wasn't really on my radar or something that I wasn't, going to be attracted to. It's like, oh yeah, it sounds dope. You're like, yeah, proud of the people, whatever. And I don't know why. I do remember the film when it came out, but for whatever reason, it just never it hit my radar. Now, I've learned why, going back into research as to why it didn't hit my radar, is because this movie came out around the same time as the riots of 1992. It was released on September 18th, and it was, it just got lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? It got lost at around the same time as the LA riots in the wake of the Rodney King beating. And it's a movie that just got, it just got lost. There were more important things going on in the world, especially for Black people at that time. And that was the shame of the movie. Those that still did discover the movie fell in love with it again, fell in love with the music of the film, which is amazing. The music of this film is amazing. All sung in its original language, all melodic, all sweeping, all very orchestral and uplifting, and the voices are heavenly in in this movie. Like you cannot get caught up in the singing of the songs from Sarafina, right? You just can't. And I can see why this would be such a moving, sweeping experience on the stage. But what we are here to review is the film, the adaptation of this stage drama. And I think it's very interesting that we're doing this in not only in the wake of having just watched Hamilton, which is the film of a stage production, but we are not too far removed from reviewing Dreamgirls, which is another film adaptation of a stage musical, right? And what Dreamgirls attempted to do was to take that story and to take what happens on that stage and build it out in front of you on screen. And while taking advantage of everything that being in a filmed environment lends, by way of doing close-ups and changing the scenery quicker and lighting and it focusing your eye where we want it to be, as opposed to in a stage production where you're just watching it widescreen and have to you're affixed to where you want. And Dreamgirls does that. What Sarafina, this film adaptation, tries to do is to take this very serious subject that is being presented by these very earnest children, many of them first-time performers as well, just like we saw in Black Orpheus. Many of these children are first-time performers, very earnest, very heartfelt, very sincere in their line readings, comes off very naturalistic. They come off so naturalistically, the film, instead of trying to build up any sets or anything like that, they go actually and film it in Johannesburg. So it's now it's filmed in location. So now we're taking you to, as close to the belly of the beast as we can take you for this film. And then they take that, to me, they take that realism a step too far. Because when it comes to depicting what these children are standing up against, the oppression that they are facing, the violence that is being put upon these children and these people, when it comes to presenting that in this film, there are absolutely no holds barred in this movie. And while I can understand the desire to want to present that violence as it really is, try to give you a true sense of what these people have been engaged with, what they're fighting against. When it's done on a stage, you have to be a little bit more choreographed about your violence. You have to be a little bit more creative in how you are depicting a young child get shot in the streets on the stage. Because one, you can't do it. You can't just shoot somebody on the stage. And more often than not on stage, especially in a musical, it's not like you're going to be using squibs or anything like that. You're going to come off with some type of effect to get over the violence without being as graphic in the violence. And I think the film, Sarafina, at times leans in so much on the realism of the violence, even when that is put up against the tenderness of these music, of these children singing. I think it fights a battle tonally that really just feels it just feels off. It just it just really just like took me out of the film a little bit. It was just a little. It was the violence should be a gut punch. It should be, and it is. But for it to be there in this musical with this uplifting music, I don't think. I think you can do that. I think you can. That gut punch can be presented. It doesn't have to be presented so realistically. I mean, there were times it was almost like a choir singing on top of like just some documentary footage of children being shot in the back in the streets and shoved into vans and electrocuted. And I mean, it was just really, really hard, man. It was just it was, I just found it very, very off-putting. And as much as I want to enjoy this film, as much as I want to celebrate Whoopi Goldberg lending her star status to get this film made, because the only reason this is made is because she made a deal with Walt Disney. I'll give you Sister Act 2. Get me into this movie so we can make this happen, because this has to happen. So, and I want to celebrate her for doing that. I want to celebrate her for taking what is essentially, you know, a cameo role in this film. She's in the film maybe 15 minutes whole, and she's gone before you're like 3/4 way. Exactly. Yeah. But her impact on the film lasts throughout the movie. Don't get me wrong. She's definitely she has a very vital role. I want to celebrate the find that is Laleti Kumalo in the lead role of Sarafina, because you cannot take your eyes off of her. She is mesmerizing in this movie. You feel her pain, you feel her joy, you feel her suffering, you feel her ambiguousness towards her mother, who to do what she has to do for her kids, lives away from her kids as a servant, you know, raising some Afrikaners kid or ways away, you know, and sending whatever dough she can back for her children. I mean, Laleti Kumalo is just, like I said, you can't take your eyes off of her in this movie. And I want to celebrate that, man. But there were times when that violence just took me out of it, man. It really made it hard for me to enjoy the movie, you know, especially because I don't even necessarily think that the film ends on that uplifting a note. And I think you're kind of like, especially coming through the violence that you do, I think you're looking for something to kind of like just raise your spirits a little bit. And I just didn't, maybe it's just my spirits had sunk so low that they just couldn't raise up to the level that they wanted me to by the end of the film. It just left me cold, man. I did not have a good time watching this movie.
I think I come at it, I agree, like I 100% agree with you about the tone. I come at it maybe from the opposite direction, where in my mind, the violence doesn't take away from the musical numbers. The music, in my mind, takes away from the rest of the movie. Like I actually didn't need any of the music. And this is in my mind a quintessential big studio black movie from the early 90s. Like this is very much in the realm of Driving Miss Daisy, Clara's Heart, you know, these kind of films that are interested in depicting blackness and perhaps even depicting a level of struggle, but doing it in a way that allows their white middle class American audience to leave with clean hands.
Okay.
to leave without
Okay.
thinking about themselves. I think this depiction of basically these are the 1976 Soweto children's uprisings is done in such a way that if you are an American, if you went and saw this, and I didn't see the play, I don't know how much different. I know this is different than the play, but just this general storyline, this very much seemed to me like something that people walked away going to get the soundtrack
Mhm.
without thinking about the movie itself. Much like you, I think Loleti Kamalo is the brightest star on the screen, and like you said, you can't take your eyes off of her. Um, Whoopi Goldberg, you can tell. I actually didn't know about that deal until you said it, but I knew immediately that Whoopi Goldberg was doing somebody a solid.
Right.
Like Whoopi Goldberg is almost separate from this film. Like she has these couple of scenes as a teacher, but you can tell that she's not really integrated into the storyline. I think the story of these kids getting shot and these almost, for the most part, cartoonishly evil South African soldiers
Yeah. Yeah.
just kind of simplifies it in a way that, again, if I went to the mall and I went to the theater at the mall in any suburb America 1992, I can leave and go, oh well, that's just awful. Well, that's just awful the way they treat those people. And what was fascinating to me about this film structurally, and when we talk about this tone, you can tell that there's a push and pull between, I suspect, the producers, including Harvey Weinstein, and the writers, where they're trying to figure out, basically what we're talking about. Like, is this a film about what really happened, or is this a film where we are, to circle back to our conversation with Black Orpheus, where we're just going to kind of exoticize these Black people in South Africa, where, we've got the music. I didn't get a chance to look it up. Like, I don't know if Paul Simon has trotted out Ladysmith Black Mambazo yet in 1992, but like, it was that period where it was, like if you worked at a record store, they had world music
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
just lumped
Yeah.
all the brown people, and like there was a type of person that liked
Mm-hmm.
world music, and they would go and they get Ladysmith Black Mambazo, or and then it's African road song. I mean, railroad songs, and they do the little stuff, and I like the music. But then you have this very serious story happening, and it does. I think it collapses under this tension, so that by the end, you don't know what really to do with it. And
Yeah.
it's a shame, because this is a good cast. This is a
Oh
good
yeah.
cast. Like we talked about Loleti Kamalo, but John Kani as the principal, the other students. I just named him, and I'm going to open this up to read his name, to actually read his name. Mbajini Nagima, who actually is the playwright,
Right.
who plays the Black Constable, Sabella,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
one of the most fascinating people on the screen. In my mind, the movie that I wanted to see, I say this all the time when I write these things down. When she does go to visit her mother
Mm-hmm.
in this nicer part of South Africa, and you get a hint of the complicated life that her mother has to live. And it's this great line where Sarafina talks about, her dad died in Mozambique, and apparently he died as a revolutionary. And she says, he died in glory. And her mother says, my children can't eat glory.
Yeah.
And it's this
Yeah.
wonderful line. And I wrote my notes. This is the movie right here. Like, this is the movie I want to see. Like, but the problem with a movie like that is that now that implicates a middle class audience watching this. It's like, because you might have somebody who works for you. You might, you know, like what is the cost of where you live? All the things that we talk about now in 2020, in 1992, you could tell this film was trying to avoid that kind of thought process. So ultimately, what I left with is I wrote, this is a film that leaves the American audience with clean hands.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you said that that's the movie that you wanted to see, because I do remember having, when that scene happens, and Sarafina is telling her mother about, you know, how she now realizes that she is a hero, and they won't be singing songs for her. You know, like the whole movie, Sarafina, and we gotta remember it's taking place. The story of it is taking place in the 70s. She is basically in her inner monologue that you're hearing, kind of like in voiceover throughout the film. She's talking to Nelson Mandela, who is at this time, you know, in prison.
Right.
And you know, she's talking to him almost like Christians talk to Jesus. So when you come home, you know, everything's going to be okay, and we want to be, you know, and take care of your people and everything like that. And that's how she's speaking and relating her life to Nelson Mandela, who you have to imagine may be a person that she never even had, if any, true memories of, as long as he had been in prison at that point.
Right, exactly.
But then she comes to realize that her mother's sacrifice is really the heroism that is on display right before her eyes. And it's her mother as a hero who won't have songs sung. You know, she's not having an inner monologue to a picture of her mother on her wall, and it's all hitting home for her. And I remember that being a very powerful moment. And one of the things that I read is that it makes sense that that's very powerful. There actually was a more to that scene. I believe there was actually a song from that scene that is not in the movie. Probably one for time, and also two for, like you mentioned, Vince. Probably would all of a sudden leave people with a bad taste in their mouth. The implications behind these words. So yeah, that was a real powerful moment. Dominique wrote us saying that she was probably 13 when she saw the film. It kind of hit her hard because of her age. Had to wrap her mind around what was happening. I think today, they tried to use the music to soften the violence. It could have had a better balance. Pretty much echoing what we said about the film.
Yeah, but and you know, even that part, like even the end where there is this huge thing with the gun, and Whoopi Goldberg's character says we don't want the violence, and they throw the gun away, and it is. In my mind, it almost, like, I didn't like the way by the end the film pitted her mother against revolutionaries.
Okay.
Because again, look, man, nobody gets stuff without breaking things. I don't know why I got all dark in here. I guess the light went out. Like, I just noticed. I just looked at myself and I'm like, why is it so dark in here? And it's like, I guess the sun's going down.
I hope that's it.
But again, for an audience.
This is a surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Vince is coming to us live from the attic where Anne Frank was.
I think the audience is uncomfortable with this depiction of violence and with anything that would any aspect of the film that looks like it was justifying the violence. I think in my mind, one of the more interesting complications was the fact that Sarafina was involved in the murder of the constable.
Oh yeah.
Like she didn't hear about it. This wasn't some other character. This was her. But in my mind, that kind of deepened and enriched her characterization. But as you said, by the end of the film, they kind of pull,
Mm-hmm.
love and peace, and now here's the dance number.
Try
to turn the light on.
I mean, what's happening, man? All of a sudden, I'm doing the show with.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Hold on. Well, now hold on. I guess you can't say hold on.
We'll wait for you, bro, because we're losing you.
Keep talking, Len. Keep talking. Like, imagine, hey, Len, imagine it's me and you taping and we don't have a camera on us. One of us does this.
Yes.
And then the other one jumps up.
Literally sitting here doing a show with Vince's beard all of a sudden. Go in the dark. So what does he do? He turns on the light all the way behind him. That'll actually do nothing for him. I gotta teach this guy YouTube 101. You gotta get a light in front of you, Vince.
Hey man, I'm not where I usually tape. It's an away game. You need to be happy that it's as good as it is. We're an hour plus in and nothing has fallen over.
Okay, bro. All right. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Robert Monroe.
You were supposed to keep talking.
I was talking. Robert Monroe says darkness is spreading.
Yeah. Hopefully. But yeah, this is just really a relic of the 90s to me.
It is, unfortunately.
It's just really a relic of the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to be able to come here and say, oh man, this is like a slept-on gem. People should, if you haven't discovered Sarafina, you need to go back and rewatch this film. And in all good consciousness, I can't. I will celebrate the soundtrack. I'll celebrate the stage musical, the cast recording. Go grab that, listen to that ad infinitum, and have yourself a glorious time. But I don't believe you need to run back to this film. I'm sorry.
You know what? In full disclosure, like, I want to love the movie. Like, I mentioned Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and I have to say that, like, Pier 1 and 1,000 Villages and all those kind of stores in, like, the suburbs have almost ruined this music for me.
Okay.
Because it's kind of happy and it's like, I always say, like, I didn't listen to Fela Kuti for years because I thought it was going to sound and it's like, oh, all right, this is a little different. You're not going to be playing this in Tier 1, but there's a very talented cast. The music is very well done. If this is your thing, this is your thing. But much like you, I think the film is one you can skip.
I do. And honestly, I think if you're going, like, and we talked about it before we turned on the microphones, as much as I wanted to champion this film and I can't, there's a film that's come out within the last few years that probably has the similar sheen to it, as far as a story that is trying to make palatable for white people in America. But for whatever reason, I just feel that its heart is in its right place and it's better done and more respectful to the environments in which the story is set. And that's the Queen of Katwe. Absolutely. I would just as soon as people go out and check out that film and again be wrapped up in some mesmerizing performances with some very young children, bolstered by Lupita Nyong'o and David Oyelowo. Just a fabulous film. Don't let the Walt Disney picture icon in the beginning fool you. They had to do what they had to do to get this film made, but it is a movie worth championing and a movie worth seeing. And I'm curious now that I'm bringing this up. I'm wondering if it's on Disney Plus, and if it's not, Disney, y'all need to listen y'all dropped Hamilton on this, this would be a night. That would be a great double play with Hamilton.
I am pretty sure it is.
It is? Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm like 70, 80% sure that it is. I feel like when we were going through, I saw it. And I made note of it. So, yeah, I agree.
Check that out. That's my recommendation. I can't recommend Sarafina.
Right.
I can recommend Queen of Katwe. Go check that out.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
All right. Before we tell you what we're going to watch next week here on the Micheaux Mission, I invite you to send all of your feedback. Email us at the Micheaux Mission at micheauxmission@gmail.com. Micheaux spelled Micheaux, MISSION. Micheaux Mission @gmail.com. Like and follow us on all the social medias. That means Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It don't even matter. It's all Micheaux Mission. Join the Micheaux Mission Facebook group. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Google Play. It doesn't matter. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Micheaux Mission. Subscribe, listen, enjoy, give us a 5-star rating, and if you're so inclined, a review, because wherever you put it, that helps people find our show. All right? And the Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of the Podglomerate Podcast Network. The Podglomerate, curated podcast for your listening pleasure. Go to thepodglomerate.com for all the deets. The Micheaux Mission is also available in an edited form as a radio show here in the city of brotherly love every Saturday at 1 p.m. on WPPM 106.5 FM, Philly Cam, People Powered Media here in the city of Philadelphia. And you can check us out every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Wake up with the Micheaux Mission on 91.7 FM WKDU, the voice of Drexel University. Okie dokie. Okie smoky. Vince, next week, it's your turn.
Sir.
It's your turn to select the film
that we will be
watching. What are we going to be watching?
Yes. Well, Len, as you and I have talked about, God willing and the creek don't rise, we will try to join one another for the first time in months.
Oh, man, I got to wear pants.
In the same physical space. Yes, you do. And all jokes aside, I'm excited about that. Like, I'm excited about the fact that we'll get to tape in the same room together. And I think it is a bit of a celebration.
Okay.
And I am one that likes to celebrate. Like, I like to go ahead and take down a nice bottle to celebrate. And in this case, the nice bottle is one of our top shelf films. And there's a film that we have talked about for years that we haven't done because, it's like the top shelf film. And the filmmaker made a film that is a Micheaux Mission favorite, so much so that we have talked about it not only on an episode, but you and I did a talk back in Bryn Mawr over a free bit. And that would, of course, be Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger.
Yes.
But Charles Burnett's first film is a classic film. It is a film that is well regarded. It is frankly a hole in our collection. So next week, in honor of us being in the same place at the same time, and in honor of that celebration, we're going to do 1977's A Killer of Sheep.
No! Okay.
We're going to do A Killer of Sheep. I mean, Killer of Sheep, not A Killer of Sheep. Killer of Sheep.
Okay. All right. Cool. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So you're going to put pants and a shirt on.
We'll see.
We're going to do some film criticism.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Until next week, he's Vince, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.